don't think it can happen to you.
Violent collision kills 2 people outside Tampa International Airport.
An alleged road rage attack rips 3 families apart. Tonight, we're learning about the boys who were killed.
Prosecutors are going to pursue charges against people who are texting while driving.
That's right. This DUI and murder suspect could get life in prison if convicted.
You don't think it can happen to you. See, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. When the sands of time will run out within your hourglass.
New at 10, a hit and run caught on video, and now a teenager and his family are looking for the driver who took off.
He was a victim of a distracted driver hitting the road while riding his motorcycle going 65 miles per hour. He nearly lost his life. Now on a crusade to help save lives and prevent someone else from becoming a victim, the creator of DistractedDriversBusted.com and now the host of this podcast, it's Howard Drescher.
Oh, yeah. That's right. That is right. Woo. Did we survive? Did we survive the election night? And here we are on a Wednesday. Oh, my. Oh, my. I'm not really a political person. I used to do a political show years ago, but not anymore. A lot of things going on. Well, I hope you survived it. Sit back and relax and enjoy the show here. I am your host, Howard Drescher, the creator of DistractedDriversBusted.com, and of course now this podcast show. You can follow me on Twitter at DistractedDBTV, at DistractedDBTV, and of course on Facebook, DistractedDB. And you get the shows on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Google Podcast. Just type in the keyword DistractedDB. And oh my, lots to talk about. Not really interested in talking about the election night. I'm sure you have your own opinions on whether good, bad, indifferent, whatever the case might be. You are you, I'm me, and let's just keep it at that. I just do hope that any of the politicians that kind of got elected, that were not elected before, will take a look at distracted driving as a serious case. Something that they need to put on their plate right away, because there are way too many deaths along the roads here. Hit and runs, DUIs, distracted driving. It's all in the world right here. It's right here in America, right in front of our face. It's overseas. It's here. It's there. And quite honestly, you'll be surprised at some of the messages I get from around the world in regards to this. And let's talk about that for a little bit. Let's talk about this for a second. I sent out a Twitter message, I guess that's what they call it, a Twitter message the other day. And my question was, why as adults are we not getting how dangerous drunk driving is? Even more these days. That was my question that I posed in my Twitter message. And a couple of people chimed back and said, because people don't care anymore, people are in their own little worlds. And I agree. And there has to be something done with this. There has to be something that will separate the doers from the don'ts. I honestly believe if you are convicted of distracted driving, whether it be a drunk driving and you cause a crash, you get pulled over, you end up killing somebody, you're a distracted driver, the same scenario. I honestly believe there has to be more of consequences. It has to be consequences that will deter them from doing it again. Because in last week's show, I believe I had a story that talked about somebody doing it 7 or 8 times, and they got into another DUI just hours after they were released from jail. Now, call me stupid if you want, but isn't this form of sanity, doing the same thing over and over, thinking you're going to get a different outcome? At least that's what my high school teacher used to tell me all the time. You're doing the same thing over and over again, and you're still getting the same results. It's nothing different. You're not doing anything different. So my plea to the courts and the judicial system, stop giving these people slaps on the hand. Stop sending them out on the road after they've either killed somebody, got popped for a DUI, got popped for a hit and run, or something in regards to distracted driving. Why are we slapping them on the hand and moving forward? And you'll be surprised, in one of the stories that I got today, 20 people were popped for DUI. They were all popped. Different times, different locations, and yet they only received a misdemeanor? Are you kidding me? You know what that's like? That's like somebody's putting their little kids, having their hands in a cookie jar, and you catch them with a cookie in their hand, and instead of telling them to put it back, you're going to spoil your dinner, you let them have it, and then you also give them another one. Because you're going to send them back out on the streets and they're going to do something stupid. So my question to you on this show, and you can send me a message on Facebook at DistractedDBTV. You can contact me on Twitter at DistractedDBTV and let me know your thoughts. Your thoughts are important to me because you guys are the ones that are listening to the shows. I mean, I do the shows. Yes, I do the shows. But sometimes I'm thinking, like sometimes I'm just talking and I don't even know what I'm saying some of the time. It's kind of like what judicial system is doing when they have somebody in front of them and they go, oh, hey, you were caught with a DUI, going 45 in the 20 zone. All right, that's a slap on the hand, pay the bail of $500 and you're on your way. Are you freaking kidding me? Are you going to tell me that you're going to let them go? Are you crazy? Are you not getting what has to be done? Tighten up the screws a little bit. Put old Tommy and put old Jane in jail when you catch them. And if they're repeat offenders, yeah, throw away the key the second time. You got to make an example of it. You have to really make an example of some of these people that are repeat offenders, because when they end up, and God forbid if they end up killing your child, or maybe your spouse, or your aunt, your uncle, your cousins, your niece, or your nephew, or somebody related to you, or somebody that you know, when they kill that person, you're going to go, oh my God, how did this happen? I can't believe this happened. Oh, he was such a good guy. No, but he didn't deserve us. Well, lock him up and put him in jail. And I don't want anyone, and listen to me now, I don't want anyone else to die from a DUI driver. I really, really don't. Because you have no idea how you can screw somebody's family up. You have no idea. And then when it happens, then you go crazy. And I'm asking for the judges. If I can line up 10 judges and ask them this question, why as adults are we not getting how dangerous drunk driving is? Even more today than it was in past years. How many of them are going to recite something out of the legal book instead of using their smarts? Sometimes you got to bend the rules just a little bit to make an example of something. okay, this is a borderline situation here, but you know what? I think you need to be locked up. Yeah, you know what? You need to be locked up for a week, and then you pay $1,000 fine. Send that to the policeman's ball or something. Send that money to the court's ball if they have a Christmas party or something like that. Make examples of these people because they're out on the freaking street. And how many people that we known and how many stories have I done in regards to our legal beagles actually getting caught drinking and driving? Maybe that's what I should do next week. I do a show on that. How many judges have been caught? How many lawyers have been caught? How many cops have been caught and arrested for suspected DUI? Maybe that might bring something to light. I don't really know for sure. I'm just speculating. Again, I'm just here to speculate. But that was my question. And again, you can email me or send me a Facebook, Instagram message, IM me, DM me, or whatever, on Facebook at DistractedDB, and of course on Twitter at DistractedDBTV. We'll be back right after this.
You're listening to the DistractedDrivers.com podcast. We'll be right back.
Wake up and text. Text and eat. Text and meet up with a friend you haven't seen in forever.
Hi.
Oh, hey. Text and complain that they're on their phone the whole time. Text and listen to them complain that you're on your phone the whole time. Text and whatever. But when you get behind the wheel, give your phone to a passenger. Put it in the glove box. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Papa, why can't we telegraph while riding a horse? Son, there ain't no one to blame but Jeffro. He was riding old Betsy the Stallion, tip-tapping away at his telegraph, when blam, ran right into the side of the saloon.
Well, if Jeffro can't do it, neither should you. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Neil Armstrong waited 6 hours and 39 minutes to step onto the surface of the moon. Jackie Robinson waited 20 months to play his first game with the Brooklyn Dodgers. And even DiCaprio had to wait 22 years to win an Oscar. You can wait until your destination. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Now, back to the DistractedDrivers.com podcast.
All right, welcome back to the DistractedDriversBusted.com podcast show. I'm your host, Howard Drescher, the creator of DistractedDriversBusted.com, and of course now this podcast show. You can follow me on Twitter at DistractedDBTV, at DistractedDBTV, and of course on Facebook, DistractedDB. And you get the shows on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and Amazon. Just use the keyword DistractedDB. So before we went to commercial break, I went ahead and asked a question in regards to how, as adults, and I'm speaking seriously now because this is kind of important, why, as adults, are we not getting how dangerous drunk driving is? Even more so these days than in past years. And nothing more strikes that up to me when I say this. Because I remember last week, or it could have been just before Halloween, I asked you a question in regards to how many people could possibly get hit with a DUI on Halloween night. How many people will run into a young child crossing the street or something, doesn't see them and hit them. Well, we came close. We came close. Here's a story from WRAL, and I appreciate them for allowing me to do the sound. How a drunk driving suspected driver was arrested, also charged with DWI in a Halloween hit and run. A mother was injured in this case. Luckily, there was no children that were hurt. But I saw the video, again, at WRAL, and I appreciate them again for allowing me to use the sound. But what I'm finding on that is the fact that it was in a semi-well-lit area. It was two lanes, one going one way, the other going the other. It's kind of like an old country road. And somebody hit the mother. Now, she's okay. She's got some injuries. She's got some hospital bills to pay. And see, this is why I talked about earlier that people aren't getting it. Here is the story that I'm alluding to.
New tonight, an arrest in a hit and run involving a Clayton mother who is taking her children trick-or-treating. Thank you for joining us. I'm Deborah Morgan.
And I'm Gerald Owens. Catherine Turnbull is in the hospital in serious but stable condition. As WIO's Keenan Willard reports, her husband is devastated to learn that the driver accused of hitting her is charged with DWI.
Clayton police say Catherine Turnbull was walking in this area with her two children when she was hit by a car so forcefully she was thrown into this wooded area. Today, her husband tells me the idea of someone driving drunk on Halloween is something he can't accept.
Mark Turnbull tells WRAL News his wife is doing better today. The accident happened in this straightaway in their Clayton neighborhood. The incident report says when police arrived to Mulberry Banks Drive, they found Catherine Turnbull bloodied and sitting on the side of the road with her two daughters. After a search for the car that hit her, police arrested 60-year-old Cecilia Morales, charging her with felony hit and run and DWI. Investigators say hours after the accident, her blood alcohol level was 0.19, more than twice the legal limit. Talking about the charges, Turnbull became emotional, saying he can't understand how someone could choose to drink and drive on Halloween. Some neighbors feel the same.
So it's just sad, man. You know, unfortunately, people don't care, man. They just party. All they cared about was partying, you know?
Derek Johnson says he wasn't surprised to hear the accident happened in this area. He says drivers are constantly speeding through the neighborhood.
We've talked about getting speed bumps and, you know, something to slow the traffic down. We've had hit and runs. We've had mailboxes knocked down. So it's just, you know, it's sad and tragic.
Neighbors say they're sure their community will find a way to support the family on the road to recovery.
We got a good, tight-knit community, you know? So when stuff like that's happening, everybody comes together and helps the families out.
Keenan Willard, WRAL News, Clayton.
We reached out to Cecilia Morales, but we haven't heard back. Investigators say she was taken to the Johnston County Jail and is being held on $40,000 secured bond.
All right, again, that story comes from WRAL, and I appreciate them for allowing me to use sound. A 60-year-old female, drunk, suspected of a DUI, hit a mother on Halloween night, throws her off into a wooded area. 60 years old, $40,000 bond. 60 years old. Tell me you have not heard a commercial about drinking and driving. Just tell me you didn't, and I'll let you walk away. Are you freaking crazy to say that you never heard of a commercial or a campaign in regards to not drinking and driving? I would have to find that totally preposterous. And quite honestly, to tell you the truth, she doesn't need their driver license anymore. Take it away. Take her car away. She can call Uber or Lyft or something like that from now on. You're listening to DistractedDriversBuster.com podcast show. We'll be back right after this.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think about going for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that can happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone.
Hey, there's no way you can hide it. If you drive drunk, they're gonna find you. So stop kidding yourself.
Sir, have you been drinking tonight?
Sir, have you been drinking this evening?
Sir, have you been drinking tonight?
They will catch you and arrest you. Drive sober or get pulled over.
All right, welcome back to DistractedDriversBusted.com podcast show. I'm your host, Howard Drescher, the creator of DistractedDriversBusted.com, and of course, now this podcast show. You can follow me on Twitter at DistractedDBTV, at DistractedDBTV, and of course on Facebook, DistractedDB. And you get the shows on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, and Amazon. Just type in the keyword DistractedDB, and of course, you can always IM me or DM me or whatever in regards to my question that I initially brought up at the beginning of the show. Why, as adults, are we not getting it on how dangerous drunk driving is? Even more today than it was back in the day when I was younger, when I was driving. Did I do something stupid? Yeah. Did I learn very quickly not to do it? Yeah, you better believe it. And I don't do that anymore, and I don't drink and drive anymore. I don't text and drive. I at the minimum, if I'm at a red light, I'll take a sip of bottled water that I have. You can ask any of my coworkers. If they contact me by text or phone, I never answer back until I pull off on the side of the road, or I wait until I get home. Now, keep in mind, I drive about an hour to an hour and 20 minutes. Just depends on how traffic is. If there's a crash or something that slows me down, it will take at least about an hour to maybe an hour and 20 minutes. And they're going to go, hey, I called you about an hour ago. And I'm going, I was driving an hour ago, and you know my policy. I don't do this. I don't pick up the phone. I will not answer it. It's just the way it is. All right, here's a bizarre story. And it made me, I don't want to say it made me laugh, but it made me think, like, which made me think, about my question that I had at the beginning of the show. So here it is. The story comes from News4Jax, and that's at WJXT4. And again, I appreciate them for allowing me to use the sound. And it all stems with, in Georgia, I'm not really sure. The Georgia and Florida, are they kind of close? I mean, I got to look at a map. Is Georgia, Florida kind of close together where they have different counties and stuff like that where they're kind of close? I really got to look at a map. But here's the thing. Apparently, 20 people were arrested, I guess, in Camden County for DUI. I guess it was over like Florida and Georgia weekend. Did they have a football game or something? Is that a possibility that something like that happened? But in any event, 20 people got, ticketed for DUIs. Not all at one time, different locations, I'm guessing here. But here's the funny thing. They got a slap on the hand. A slap on the hand, and it is very, very disturbing. And again, this story comes from WJXT4, and I appreciate them for allowing me to use the sound.
Covering Georgia, an unusually high number of people were arrested on DUI charges in Camden County this past weekend. Authorities say most of the drivers were either coming from the Georgia-Florida game in Jacksonville or parties where people were watching the game on TV. News4Jax reporter Eric Anvier joins us live from the road in our mobile newsroom to explain. Eric?
Camden County authorities say they average about 5 DUI cases per weekend, but this past weekend, they saw a total of 20 DUI arrests, 20 people hauled off to jail. And they say one of those drivers who was taken to jail was a mother who was not only under the influence, but had her 4-year-old daughter unrestrained in the car.
Every year, the college football game between Florida and Georgia brings in thousands of people to Jacksonville who enjoy the rivalry on the field, as well as the tailgating parties and after parties where alcohol is served. Camden County Sheriff's Office Captain Larry Bruce says, unfortunately, some people did not drink responsibly and choose to drive back to Camden County while impaired.
Instead of calling for a ride share or a friend to be a designated driver, they try to do it on their own, and when they do, they get themselves in trouble.
This past weekend, 20 people were arrested in Camden County for DUI. We're not identifying them by name or showing their mugshots because their charges are only misdemeanors. One involved a woman who was arrested in Kingsland after police say they found her slumped over the wheel while her car was still running and her unrestrained 4-year-old was standing inside the vehicle. None of the motorists who were arrested were involved in crashes. Captain Bruce says law enforcement played a key role in preventing that from happening.
They noticed something in their driving habits that was impaired, so they pulled them over and found that they were impaired drivers.
Captain Bruce says those are examples as to why it's always an all-hands-on-deck operation when it comes to patrolling the highways and byways during the weekend of the Georgia-Florida game. Now, while there were no crashes, DUI crashes in Camden County this weekend, there was, however, a fatal DUI crash just beyond the western border in Charlton County. Authorities say a driver who caused that crash was going so fast that he plowed into the back of another vehicle, killing the driver in that other vehicle. And yes, that was a DUI fatality. Reporting live, Eric Avignon, Channel 4, the local station.
And again, I appreciate Channel 4, WJXT4, and I appreciate them again for allowing me to do sound. So this last one, I'm hoping it wasn't a misdemeanor. I hope they locked up that person for DUI crash that ended up into a fatality. It just seems that that's what it would be. But so now listening to the whole story, I'm guessing here. Yeah, Georgia, Florida football game. So I gather from that, Georgia and Florida probably not close together on the map. Now I realize that. So, okay, all you teachers out there that are listening to me that have history and all this stuff, and you always talk about the world map and stuff, I get it. I know where it's at now. Hello. Yeah, so that's kind of what happened there. But in regards to this, misdemeanors, so I'm going to guess that all 20 of these guys are misdemeanors. So looking at the future here ahead, I'm going to bust out my crystal ball. Oh, crystal ball, tell me what's going to happen in the future. Oh, okay, I can tell you this is going to happen. Well, what's going to happen is probably some of the people that got away with this think, oh, it's okay, I can do it again and again and again. And eventually that again is going to end up into a fatality. A crash. If they don't end up killing themselves, they're going to end up killing somebody that you know. It could be a family member of yours. And it's all because somebody was nice enough to give them a misdemeanor on the first time they went out drinking and driving. The first time they went out drinking and driving. And it may not even be their first time. It could be their 5th or 7th time. But they got lucky again. One more time they got lucky. And next thing you know, then somebody's going to look back at their record and say, oh my gosh, back on the weekend when they had Georgia and Florida play each other, yeah, that was a big football game. And there was people that were attending the game, and then there was people that were at their friend's house watching the game, and they were drinking and having a good time. Yeah, we should have done more with this one. One got away. We gave him a misdemeanor, and 4 months later, well, old Tommy or old Susie, well, they went out one more time and think that they can get away with it, and sure enough, they got away with it for a short period of time until they crashed and killed a mother of 3. That's what will end up happening. That's what my old crystal ball says. So I'm asking each and every one of you, don't drink and drive anymore. Please. Because you don't want to wreck your life, and you don't want to wreck the life of a mother. A mother of 3 who's now gone. And what will happen is their kids will grow up without a mother. All right, you're listening to DistractedDriversBusted.com, the podcast show. All right, next time when we come back, next show we do, yeah, I'm going to try to find out how many officers or judges were popped for DUIs. And they themselves go into court. That will be the topic of next show. Remember, I don't want to die today, do you? Don't let anyone take the sands of time within your own hourglass. Until next show, please be safe. And don't drive drunk.